HTML drag and drop API. In HTML, any element can be dragged and dropped. And here we have an image, an example, and I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna drop it here. So we have drag the W3 schools image into the rectangle. So I'm grabbing it and I'm dropping it, so I can do it backwards too. Drag and drop. Drag and drop is a very common feature. It is when you grab an object and drag it to a different location. And this is the browser support. The number and the table specify the first browser version that fully supports drag and drop. So we have the API, we have the Chrome, we have the Internet Explorer Edge, we have Firefox, Safari, and Opera. We have the drag and drop. For Chrome is gonna be 4.0. Edge is gonna be 9.0. Firefox is gonna be 3.5. Safari is gonna be 6.0, and Opera is gonna be 12.0. HTML drag and drop. This example below is a simple drag and drop example. We're gonna be using some JavaScript, as you can see here. We're gonna be using some functions, but before we can check out this example, we're gonna go some theory about it. But let's check it out just to see the final product. So we're gonna grab this whole example and we're gonna go to Visual Studio Code, and I'm gonna create a file named index.html. So it's gonna be index.html, and I'm gonna paste the code that I just grabbed. I'm gonna open it with live server. So open with live server, and I just want to show you the final product. So drag the W3 school image into the rectangle. So this is the image, and okay, I'm gonna move it here so I can drop it in this rectangle. And I already grabbed this picture from the W3 school, so I just grab it here. I just save image as, and you just save it in your folder, and my folder name is test. So and I have it where it is. It's gonna be image underscore gif. So it's gonna be image underscore gif. I have it. It's gonna be here, this one. So I have it here. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the final product, but first we're gonna go back to the scope. But now we're gonna see some theory. It might seem complicated, but let's go through all the different parts of a drag and drop event. Make an element draggable. First of all, to make an element draggable, set the draggable attribute to true. So we're gonna have angle brackets. We're gonna have the image element. We're gonna have the draggable attribute set to true. What to drag? On drag star and set data. Then specify what should happen when the element is dragged. In the example above, the onDrag star attribute calls a function drag event that specifies what data to be dragged. The data transfer that set data method sets the data type and the value of the drag data. So here we have some JS, some JavaScript code. So we have a function named drag. Inside of the parentheses, we're gonna have the EV. We open curly braces, we're gonna use this EV, and we're gonna chain it to the data transfer, and then we're gonna chain it to the set data. Open parentheses, we're gonna pass in a string text, comma, the EV, chain it to the target, chain it to the ID. In this case, the data type is text and the value is the ID of the draggable element drag1. Okay, so that is that. And again, we're focusing on the HTML part, so don't worry about the JavaScript for up to this point. Where to drop on drag over. The on drag over event specifies where the drag data can be dropped. By default, data / elements cannot be dropped in other elements. To allow a drop, we must prevent the default handling of the element. This is done by calling the event that prevent default method for the on drag over event. So we're gonna have the event that prevent default and with parentheses. Now we're gonna have the do the drop on drop. When the drag data is dropped, a drop event occurs. In the example above, the onDrop attribute calls a function drop event. So here we have the function drop. In the parentheses, we're going to have the EV. Open curly braces, we're going to have this parameter EV, and we're going to chain it to the prevent default. Okay, with parentheses, semicolon. We're going to have a var statement declaration named data, and we're going to assign it to the parameter EV, chain it to the data transfer, chain it to the get data. And inside of the parentheses, we're going to have this string called text. We end up with a semicolon, and now we're going to have the parameter EV, chain it to the target, chain it to the append child. Inside of the parentheses, we're going to have the document.get element by ID, and we're going to pass in the data. So this is the code explained. Call prevent default to prevent the browser default handling of the data. Default is open as link on drop. Get the drag data with the data transfer that get data method. This method will return any data that was set to the same type in the set data method. The drag data is the ID of the drag element. Drag one, append the drag element into the drop element. And here they give us a final example. So, but pretty much this is the whole theory that we're gonna see. So we can start with this example right here that they're giving us. So we're gonna start with this example. Okay, so we're gonna go to Visual Studio Code, and I'm gonna delete whatever I have in my file named index.html. So I'm just gonna press Shift exclamation mark to have a template to work with. I'm gonna make the font a little bigger with Control Plus. So I'm gonna save what I have here. So this is my index.html file. I'm gonna work in the in the head section. We're gonna have a style, and I'm just gonna grab the style attribute, since this is the CSS, and this is gonna be below the, it's gonna be inside of the head section. So I'm just gonna put it right here. So this is the only thing that I'm just gonna copy and paste, since it's CSS. So we're gonna have a style element. Inside of the style element, we're gonna have the div1 and the div2. We're gonna have the float, left. We're gonna have the width, the height, the margin, the padding, and the border. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on the HTML part. So now we're gonna have a script. Okay, and this is gonna be inside of the, everything is gonna be inside of the head section. Okay, so now I'm gonna type, we're gonna have the script element, and we're gonna be starting with JavaScript. So I have a script element, and I'm gonna have a function. I'm gonna have a function name. Let me see, what is the name of this function? It's gonna be allow drop. So it's gonna be allow drop, and again we're using camel notation. So allow drop, we're gonna have the parameter is gonna be EV. We're gonna open curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we're gonna use this parameter, and we are gonna chain it to the prevent default, like this, default. Okay, prevent default. Okay, we're gonna end up with a semicolon here. This is what we have here. So this is our first function. Then we're gonna have a second function name. Okay, this is gonna be the function. Okay, it's gonna be drag, and we're gonna have a parameter here. It's gonna be EV. We're gonna open curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we're gonna have the parameter EP, and we're gonna chain it to the data transfer, data transfer. And again we're using camel notation, so the first letter of the next word, it has to be capitalized. So transfer, then we're gonna chain it to the set data. Okay, set data, And now we're gonna open parentheses. We're gonna have this string named text. Outside of that, we're gonna have the EB, chain it to the target, and then chain it to the ID. Okay, and then we're gonna end it up with a semicolon, and let's check it out. Okay, nothing's happening as expected, but we are writing our code. So now, okay, this one is nice, this one. So now we're gonna have the next function that is gonna be the drop. Okay, so it's gonna be here. Function is gonna be drop, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna have this parameter that is gonna be EB. We're gonna open curly braces. Okay, and then we're gonna change the parameter EB to prevent default. Okay, like this. We're gonna, okay, this is a parameter change to prevent default. Okay, and we're gonna open parentheses, prevent default, and then we're gonna end this statement with a semicolon. Okay, so now we're gonna have a var statement declaration name data, and we're gonna assign it to the EB, that data transfer, and then we're gonna get data, again camel notation, get data, and we're gonna pass in the string text like that. Okay, and finally we're gonna change the parameter EB, and we're gonna change it to the target, and then append child, and now we're gonna have the document that get element by ID, and the ID, we're gonna open parentheses, the ID is gonna be the data. Okay, so we're gonna save that to this point. Okay, so we're gonna open it to see how it's looking. Okay, we don't have anything yet. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our, where is it? Okay, so target append child, document that get element by ID. Okay, that is inside of the body. Yeah, that is inside of the head section. Okay, now inside of the body section, we are gonna have the heading 2, the paragraph, and a div. Well, we're gonna have two divs, so let's start with the heading 2. So now we're gonna go inside of the head section. We're gonna have a heading 2, and it's gonna say drag and drop, so it's gonna be drag and drop. Okay, like that. Let me see if this is working. Okay, yeah, drag and drop. Yeah, that's fine. Below that, we're gonna have what we are gonna have here. We're gonna have a paragraph. I'm just gonna copy this paragraph to make it a little faster, like this. Okay, so we're gonna have a paragraph, and below that we're gonna have two divs. So let's start with the first div. We're gonna have this div here. Okay, we are gonna have two divs. So in the first div we're gonna have an ID, and the ID has to be set to what? It's gonna be set to div1. Okay, and if you remember, we just copy and paste the CSS, but the CSS is inside of the style element, and we're gonna have a div1 and a div2. So right now the ID is gonna be div1, like this. And now outside of that, we're gonna have the undrap attribute, and it's gonna be set to, okay, drop, and open parentheses, we're gonna have event, like that. We're gonna have event, then we're gonna have the and drag over attribute. So okay, and drag over attribute like this, and it's gonna be set to allow trap. Okay, allow trap. Okay, let me see. Okay, like that. Yeah, allow trap. And what else do we have here? Okay, and we have to pass in the event, so like that. Okay, we're good up to this point. And now we're gonna close this div, and inside of this div we are gonna have this image. Okay, so inside of this div we're gonna open angle brackets, and we're gonna have the image element. Okay, and here we're gonna have the source attribute, and the source attribute is gonna be set to image underscore w3 logo. Let me see, image underscore logo, like this. Okay, it's gonna be image underscore w3 logo gif. So make sure that you have it. So I have it right here in my folder test. It's gonna be this one, image underscore w3 logo that gif. And again, I just grab it from here, from the w3 school, fair use for educational purposes. So you just go save, right click and save as. Okay, make sure you have it. Okay, so that is the source attribute. Outside of the source attribute we're gonna have the draggable attribute, and we're gonna set it to true. So it's gonna be draggable attribute, and we're gonna set it to true. And as you can see, Visual Studio Code makes it easier to follow along. Now we're gonna have the undrag start. So it's gonna be undrag, let me see, and here it is, undrag start set to true. Undrag start, undrag start drag event, like this. It's gonna be drag event, it's gonna be drag and then parentheses, and it's gonna be event. Okay, so now the ID attribute is gonna be set to drag1. It's gonna be set to drag1. Okay, let me see, yeah, the ID is gonna be set to drag1 with the width is gonna be 88, and the height is gonna be 31 pixels. So let's just grab those two, and we're gonna go okay here. Okay, after the undrag star attribute. Okay, so we are still inside of the div and the first div element. Okay, so now we're gonna go for the second div element. So let's save it, let's see how it looks like up to this point. So okay, we have something. We cannot grab it and drop it, or just drag it and drop it. So now we're gonna go for the second div. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna open a div element, and in this case we're gonna have an ID of, the ID is gonna be div2. As you can see in the CSS that we have inside of this HTML, inside of the style element, we have the div2. Okay, so we're gonna be using this div2 and this div element, and the undrag attribute. So it's gonna be undrag attribute. The undrag attribute is gonna be set to trap event, so it's gonna be trap event. Okay, outside of that, what else we're gonna have the undrag over, okay, undrag over, like that, and we're gonna set it to allow drop event. Okay, allow, okay, as you can see, as with camel notation, and then we're gonna pass in the event. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And then we're gonna close the div tag, we're gonna save it, and let's go to our website to see how it's looking. Okay, so I can grab this this image, what is the name of this file? I can grab this image underscore w3s logo.gif. That is the name of this file that I just grabbed from the 3W school for use. And I can move it back and forth. So this example is better than the previous example that we just, this one, where we can click and try ourselves. We can just grab this example and move it here, but we cannot go back. So this is a much better example. You can grab it, you can move it back and forth, and yeah, I mean, this is the HTML drag and drop API.